Hello friends, welcome back. Happy Friday everyone. Kjun is back with another official inZOI developer update, and this week's announcement comes with some disappointing news, but also a really interesting look at what's happening behind the scenes. The August update has officially been delayed and is now planned for early September. And while I'm obviously disappointed that we'll have to wait a little longer, I honestly think this is one of those situations where I'd rather the team take the time they need and be honest with us than rush an update out just to meet a deadline and leave us with something that feels half finished. Especially with how many important foundational changes they're working on right now, I think there's a lot of value in letting the team finish what they've started. Not every development team would be willing to make that decision, knowing that delaying an update could disappoint or frustrate their players. In a way, they're taking a hit in a short term because they believe it will give us a better game in the long run, and I can appreciate that. Rather than focusing on adding a lot of new content, the team has been strengthening the fundamental systems that make Zois behave more naturally. This week, Kjun introduces 2 new systems designed to give Zois a stronger sense of purpose when they visit different locations. Instead of simply spending time somewhere and doing unrelated activities, Zois will be able to prioritize actions that actually make sense for the place they're visiting. And objects will have more specific rules about who can use them. As always, I'll be reading through Kjun's announcement piece by piece while we relax with some cozy inZOI gameplay. And I'll also share some of my thoughts on what these changes could mean for the future of the simulation. If you'd like to share your own feedback directly with the developers, you can find the link to the official inZOI Discord in the description below. Now, let's get into this week's developer update. Hello everyone, Kjun says. It's great to see you again. I hope you've had a great week. First, I have some slightly disappointing news to share. The August update has been delayed a little, and we are now planning to release it in early September. I'm sorry that we couldn't bring it to you sooner. I'll keep running as hard as I can to deliver it to all of you. For this update, rather than adding new content, we've been focusing on making the fundamental aspects of everyday life and behavior in inZOI feel more natural. While this won't be a particularly large update, a lot of development work has gone into strengthening the foundations of our life simulation systems for the future. Today, I'd like to introduce one of those systems and hear what you think about it. Previously, when a Zoi visited somewhere like a burger restaurant, they would remain there for a set amount of time. However, instead of ordering and eating during that time, they might talk to other Zois, look at nearby objects, or perform other actions unrelated to the reason they visited in the first place. To improve this, we've developed 2 new systems for these. Please refer to the video on the top comment, and I'll play that video for you now. This is not the development video, this is a separate video that they included with the update. So this is the system that they're thinking of implementing for public places like restaurants. So they'll wash their hands, order some food, get the food, sit down, and then they'll throw it out. The first is a system that allows us to define actions that Zois should prioritize when they enter a particular location. The second is an interaction permission system that allows us to specify who can use each object. For example, at a burger restaurant, we can have a Zoi order from a kiosk, wait in a customer seat, receive and eat their food, and then naturally return home once their visit is complete. Employees will no longer sit in seats intended for customers. And while that was very funny, to go on a blind date and have one of the employees sit across from you instead of your date, I think that was probably a good move. However, if you have previously customized regions or spaces yourself, you may need to register some of this newly added information again. The amount of data itself is not large, but if you have customized many different areas, it could mean a little additional work. We are also preparing a way to apply the new system correctly through a reset. I wanted to share this with you before applying the system to the development build so that we can hear your thoughts first. If you are against this change, we are prepared to stop and reconsider it. I think that this change makes sense. The only thing that I would caution is to make sure that you have all of the required items at the restaurant. Say, if they're going to be washing their hands first and there's no sink, will they get stuck? That's something to think about. I believe that putting these small but fundamental systems in place one by one is essential if we want Zois to feel less like characters who simply spend time at a location and more like people who act and live accordingly to their own purposes. And I can't stress this enough. Kjun actually mentions that this isn't a big update, but if you actually stop and think about how much work they're putting into things like autonomy and the basic fundamentals of the game, you have to really step back and say, wow, they are giving us so much, because they're also adding free diving, they're adding new meals, you'll be able to harvest resources under the ocean. I mean, they're giving us so many new things on top of all of these fundamental changes. It really is honestly a huge update. Lastly, when I look up at the sky on my way home from work these days, the stars seem especially bright. The evenings are starting to bring a little cooler breeze as well, and it makes me feel that summer really is beginning to pass. The long, hot summer is gradually coming to an end. Thank you for spending another week with inZOI. Since the update is arriving a little later than planned, we'll work hard to make sure we can show you something even better when it arrives. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you again next week. Kjun. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play this week's development video.
Hello everyone. Today we're back to sharing some of our recent technical developments. Let's take a look. We are working on more active interactions where you can press buttons to initiate an action. Here's one where you can pick up a plate of food instantly with a button, and pressing another button will throw that plate of food to wherever you target it. Another button allows you to swing your hand with moderate force, and if you so choose, you can have that land on another person, which by the way is not a nice thing to do. When you're floating on water, we added a nice touch where the Zoi would sway just barely to make it seem more realistic. We previewed the vacation system a while back, and here is an updated look on the new feature. Choose your destination and who you will be traveling there with, as well as your accommodation. Order local food, explore the area, or just enjoy the various amenities if you're in a fancy resort. We're also working on the restaurant experience, where you can order food at your table and have that food be cooked, then delivered to you by a waiter. If you're looking for more ways to enjoy time with friends and lovers, you can invite them to your home with our new sleepover system. It can be your closest of lads or a love interest you just met that night. Use this system to create many different scenarios for your Zois. We're adding a feature for schools where you can specify which students will be in the first period and the second period of classes. You can also set default autonomy actions for NPC Zois, including whether they can butt into conversations, get married, divorced, pregnant, and so on. Many of you have requested this, and we're finally making it so that you can interact with babies outside your home. To reduce the fatigue of continually having to hold shift to run, we made it so that if you hold W for an extended period of time, the Zoi will transition into a running motion. Of course, we're providing the option to disable this feature if you want to slowly walk around the city. There was an annoying interaction where if you wanted your Zoi to fill their need when they were outside, but their home was nearby, they would always look for solutions outside their home. We fixed it so that they would just enter their home to eat food, use the toilet, etc. We also fixed another annoying issue where many Zois would collide with each other to get the same plate of food. Now, if there are not enough food available, some will simply resort to acquiring additional food for themselves. Another related thing we fixed was Zois previously sitting with another Zoi they barely knew, as if that is a natural thing to do. Now, if there is an empty table nearby, they'll go to sit there instead. Oppositely, if the Zoi wants to eat with another Zoi, they'll skip the closer table to sit at another table that the other Zoi is eating at. We added positive and negative reactions for when Zois are eating tasty and not so tasty food. If the food they ate was their preference, there will be a positive reaction for that, but a negative reaction for activities they do not enjoy. What did you think of this week's developments? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll see you all on Discord next Wednesday, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Bye!
Obviously, the delay to September is a little disappointing, especially when we've been waiting for this update, but I actually think the systems Kjun talked about today could be some of the more important changes we've seen. I really like the idea of Zois having an actual purpose when they visit a location. If my Zoi goes to a restaurant, I want them to actually behave like they went to a restaurant, not like they completely forgot where they went. And I think the interaction permissions could make a huge difference too, especially as more businesses and customized spaces are added to the game. The punching keys and extra action controls are so funny. I think it's hilarious that they're adding those kinds of actions, as well as other things that they've mentioned, like the jump key that will be added. Kjun also made it clear that they're willing to reconsider the system and probably any of these changes if the community doesn't like the change. So I'd really love to hear what you think. Do you think these new systems will make Zois feel more natural? Are you okay with the August update moving to early September? Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And if you'd like to give your feedback directly to the development team, don't forget to join the official inZOI Discord using the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next week's developer update. See you next time, friends. Bye.